Hello, and welcome to today's session. Today I'll be going over Dataiku and its integrations with Databricks. We'll also be covering a live demonstration of some of these key capabilities. But first, a little bit about Dataiku. Dataiku is the universal AI platform that allows organizations to be able to develop AI projects from end to end, including working with data preparation, building analytics, doing machine learning, and working with Gen AI, all in one auditable and governable platform that has enterprise-grade capabilities, including deployment, monitoring, and CI/CD. Dataiku allows for coders and non-coders alike to be able to work with data, to develop use cases, and to get real business impact from their data and from AI. Dataiku can connect to a wide variety of data sources, both cloud and on-prem, for users to work with data. And Dataiku is very flexible from a compute and model architecture perspective, connecting to various types of compute from SQL to Spark and other base data sources, and different foundation models, including from Databricks Mosaic AI. Dataiku also allows for business users to be able to work with third-party BI platforms, and Dataiku also has capabilities for visualizations and web applications natively within the platform. And if you prefer to build your own custom application, Dataiku has fully open APIs to allow for you to work with the platform programmatically. In terms of the relationship between Dataiku and Databricks, our story is that we can unite the business and the technology together through our partnership. So Databricks allows for infinite scale with storage, compute, and the foundation models they host. And Dataiku acts as that intuitive user interface to allow for business users and technical experts alike to be able to collaborate and develop AI projects with real impact. So both AI labs and frontline teams can gain the benefits of a platform that they can quickly build and collaborate on different use cases directly on data within Databricks using both visual and code-based recipes that execute directly on Databricks clusters. Users can create use cases and models and agents in Databricks and then have them running in Databricks for scalable and cost-efficient performance. And then deploying AI with trust. Everything that's built in Dataiku is automatically registered into Unity Catalog for automated governance and lineage. As well, Dataiku provides approval workflows such that only vetted models and use cases can make it into production. In terms of the platform's integrations from a technical perspective and what we'll be covering in today's demonstration, it's a very cohesive integration story where Dataiku allows for the connection to Databricks Lakehouse data. And you can create visual and code-based recipes in order to push down the execution of workloads directly onto Databricks clusters. You can write your PySpark code or your SQL code in Dataiku and have it run directly in Databricks. Likewise, you can also leverage Databricks hosted LLMs to be able to work with generative and build generative AI applications. You can create and deploy any models that you develop in Dataiku as endpoints on Databricks serving endpoints. You can also score your data sets using visual built models in Dataiku using the Databricks SQL engine. And everything that we integrate with, it's fully integrated with the Unity catalog in Databricks as well. So all of the data sets and the lineage is automatically tracked within your existing data governance framework. Let's see it in action. So over in Dataiku, this is a flow or a project. This is where you're able to develop your end-to-end data connections, pipelines, machine learning models, evaluate those models, and even leverage Gen AI in order to develop a use case. In this case, what we're trying to do is we're connecting to customer data that we have living in Databricks, and we are working through that data, doing some data preparation steps, building machine learning models, deploying those models, and running evaluation and MLOps on those models over time, and then even sprinkling in some Gen AI in order to generate some tailored content for each of our customers, depending on their particular features in the data. So we'll start with data access, and you'll see in the flow here, these different blue squares refer to different data sets or tables that are living in Databricks. So if I open up one of these, you'll see a preview of the data here. Dataiku takes a sample of the data and places it into memory for the user, but the actual data set itself stays within Databricks, stays within Unity Catalog. We're not taking any copies of the data, but in fact, we are presenting the data for the user such that they can begin to explore it, view the distribution of the data, look at some of the key statistics around the data. Perhaps they would want to run some exploratory data analysis, build some basic to even more advanced charts that we have out of the box here in Dataiku. Bar graphs, pie charts, maps is all available in the platform. And if you're looking at things from more of a statistical bend, you can run some analysis here to look for any sort of distribution fit tests. You can look for correlation analysis, all things that are very possible to do, of course, in code, in notebooks, but are very handy to do with a few clicks just within the Dataiku UI. So once you have explored the data that, again, is still living in Databricks and you want to begin running some transformations, Dataiku provides a number of different options with respect to being able to transform data, both visual and code-based approaches in order to be able to work with these different data sets. And these visual recipes actually all map to SQL functions. So the actual execution of these visual recipes, although we work in the UI, it automatically translate to the appropriate SQL syntax. In this case, it would be to Databricks Spark SQL, and then executes on the underlying cluster. So for example here, if we open up a prepare recipe, which is a power horse recipe that has over 100 different processors to do some of the most common data cleansing tasks, to work with numbers and splitting of data and working with dates and filtering data, but using a very intuitive, user-friendly approach. So for example, if I want to remove the decimal place within this column, I can click on the header here, click round to integer, and it applies that process for me on the left-hand side here. And you can see the preview of the transformation that's applied on the screen. If I'm filtering on only data, say in Canada, I can highlight that word as an example and say, keep only rows that are equal to Canada. And so it applies that set for me on the screen as well. If I, for example, want to parse this date field because I want to maybe run some date-based calculations, I can click on the header and say parse dates. The Explorer here opens up and it allows us to tell it what sort of format to expect and to transform it into a date field. So this one looks good for me. It's showing that this would translate into October 26th. So that looks right. So I'll click use date format, and it automatically applies that set for me as a part of this process. Then if I like, I can click on this header here and say compute time since, and I'll say this could be the age, the age column that we're creating here. Of course, we don't need it in number of days. That's a bit too granular. We'll want it in years. So now we have the age of each of the customers based on their inputted birth field. Now, if you look at the bottom here, you'll see that the engine is running in database. It's executing on SQL. If I head over to the Advanced tab, just for reference, I can actually see the query that was automatically generated behind the scenes. And you can see that it's actually going to execute on a Databricks cluster. You can see the explanation here. At any point in time, I can convert this to a code recipe if I want to modify it manually myself. Or if I want, I can actually start straight from code as well. So I can show you an example of that. If we head over to another portion of the flow here, I have a SQL or a code recipe that I can simply either copy my code if I already have it, or I can simply write it within the screen here. Another option as well is if I'm feeling maybe a bit lazy, or if I want AI to be able to generate the code for me or explain my existing code, for example, maybe I wanted to explain the code that I already have because maybe another colleague of mine had written it before me and I want to understand exactly what it is they wrote. I can click on explain and get a detailed explanation of exactly what's going on for this query. Likewise, if I want to generate a particular query, I can say group by customer ID as a simple example. Click generates, and this helper will allow me to, please wait a few moments, generate a query that does exactly what I asked for to group by customer ID. And if that one looks good for me, then maybe I'll choose to insert it as my new recipe. Now, some users prefer to work in SQL, and in some cases, Python may be more applicable, and of course, Dataiku supports that as well. So here you can have your Python code that's running, and because of Dataiku's integration with Databricks via Databricks Connect, you're actually able to execute any PySpark commands directly on a Databricks cluster as well. So you wouldn't edit the code in that previous screen here. We have a built-in Jupyter Lab you can leverage, or you can use our code studios to be able to build your own preferred IDE, whether it's VS Code, PyCharm, IntelliJ, etc. But within this notebook, I can instantiate my Databricks Connect clients. So I did here. Then once I pull in a data set using the Dataiku API as a data frame, I can work with this data frame as I normally would, as if I was working in Databricks. And the code is actually executing on that Databricks cluster that I'm connected to because we were leveraging that Databricks Connect mechanism. So once I am happy with my code, I can save it back to the recipe and it becomes a part of my flow that I can then automate. But let's say that I get to a point where I have a data set, I want to be able to build a machine learning model, and then I want to deploy it. That's exactly what we've done in this project here. I won't go into the details in the interest of time of building the machine learning model, but suffice to say, and there's many resources on this to show how easy Dataiku makes it to build a predictive model. In this case, we have a finished one that you see here. We've got a random forest model with some pretty impressive performance metrics. If I click into this model, I can view some of the interpretability reports that Dataiku provides out of the box, no configuration that's required in order to generate this information, like who are the most likely customers to be considered high revenue. Here's the probability for these customers. Maybe we should target them. And then if I am happy with this model, I can deploy it to the flow. I can also actually export this model either as an ML flow object if I like, or directly to Databricks into the Unity catalog. I just specify an experiment name I'll give it and a model name I want it to be registered as within Unity, and it will be moved directly into my Databricks environment. If I want to take that a step further, I can actually take this model object that I have deployed, and I can click to create an API endpoint off of this model. And what that does is it actually deploys this model directly onto, as an example, a Databricks serving endpoint. That's what we've configured here. So this is the deployer view. This is showing me all of the requests for this particular model and the responses. This is that same model that I previously created in the project. So I can see a summary of it here. I can actually have a link out to the corresponding Databricks endpoints that we have deployed this model to. So this is the actual endpoint itself, as you can see. So we have it running on Databricks, but we are tracking it, and we have the deployment mechanism configured through Dataiku. So I can see the health of this model. I can run some sample code in order to ping the model to see if it's working appropriately and to set the configuration that way. So if I have these models deployed on Databricks, either through Dataiku's mechanism for deployments, or even if I just have Databricks models deploying, maybe because I trained them on Databricks, I can still view and monitor the performance of the models and the status of the models through Dataiku's unified monitoring capabilities. So over here, I filtered for all of my Databricks endpoints that I've connected to. I can see the performance of these models. I can see the recent activity, how their health is. I can link out to their particular status and to their endpoint. So I can, within one page, see all of the information that's related to each of my Databricks model endpoints. On the flip side, if I head back to the flow, I can also leverage the models that are deployed in Databricks within my Dataiku flow. So as an example here, through our external models feature, we can reference an endpoint that's served on Databricks. So I can see all of my serving endpoints here. I can select the one that's interesting for me to utilize within my Dataiku flow, even though the model is technically served on Databricks. Maybe I trained it in Databricks, but I want my business users to be able to reference it within their own flows in Dataiku. I can also optionally add in an evaluation data set if I want to be able to run some programmatic evaluations against that model using Dataiku as sort of the orchestration mechanism for that. And that's exactly what I've done here. So I've got my evaluation data set, which has some labeled data. I have my model that's deployed on Databricks. I'm running an evaluation recipe. And at the output, I get this evaluation, we call it store, that shows you the historical metrics related to each run of the model's evaluation based on that labeled data. So you can see over time if the model's performance against the labeled data set is going up, it's going down. You can see the accuracy, the precision, all of these out of the box metrics, and you can define your own metrics as well as custom, so that over time you'll be able to see and view whether the model's performance is trending up or down. And you can also define particular thresholds that if they're met, you should be automatically alerted and take action of that model's degradation as an example. Now that we've set up our pipeline that we have for being able to do some data preparation, training our model, deploying the model and referencing it either in batch or in real time, we may want to take this use case a step further. We have our customers that we know are going to be quote unquote high revenue, and now we want to run some generative AI application in order to be able to write custom email to each of our customers based on the features in the data to send them particular offers or promotions, etc. So we want some customers who are higher likelihood to buy to have different messaging versus others. Dataiku provides these LLM recipes, visual ways of interacting with hosted LLMs in order for you to be able to do just that without writing a single line of code. So in this visual recipe here, you can see that we have the LLM that we're connected to. In this case, I've connected to a model Llama 4 that's deployed on Mosaic AI. I can select the one that's more appropriate for me. And I can also determine the exact prompt that I want to send for each of my customers, such that we get, in this case, an email for each record. Now, if I'm, for whatever reason, unsure of the prompt or the LLM I want to use, and I want to test it on a small sample of my customers prior to sending out, or generating the email for all, could be millions of customers in my data set, what I can do is leverage Prompt Studio in order to be able to configure and test out, basically do prompt engineering to figure out which LLM and prompt makes the most sense for me. So in this case, I have Claude 4 hooked up with a prompt. I have Llama 4 Maverick hooked up with a prompt as well. Maybe I can adjust the temperature. Maybe I can add some max output tokens, additional guardrails, add some examples. And I can compare and contrast the results off of a couple of examples or test cases for each of these models. And that will give me a sense of the flavor or the style that each of these models and prompts are producing. And that'll give me an indication of which I want to use as a part of my use case. It's still a qualitative aspect in order to be able to figure out which one makes sense, but it's a really great starting point for me to be able to figure out, between these two models, which is going to make more sense for what I'm trying to do. So you can see we've got these two models here. We can see the result for two example customers, the two emails that they sent. And for me, this one might look better, this Claude 4 Sonnet one. So maybe I'll flip back to the prompt recipe and just very easily change my model to Claude Sonnet. And at the output of this, once I run through this process for all of my customers, I will receive for each of my customers the output from my LLM, each of these emails, and then I can leverage this and send directly to my customers for follow-up and hopefully for increased optimization with sales for my customers. So to summarize, Dataiku makes the non-tech expert and more of the business user also able to work with the resources and the data that are hosted in Databricks. Of course, Databricks is a fantastic platform for being able to work with data scientists and data engineers But in terms of the collaboration capabilities and the intuitive UI to be able to work with machine learning, to be able to work with data transformations and Gen AI, Dataiku is unparalleled in that regard. And the beauty is that Dataiku sits on top of Databricks such that all of the compute still happens in the underlying infrastructure of your choice. So to summarize, Dataiku allows for the development of generative AI applications on top of Databricks. You can build analytic pipelines and reports. Users will be able to monitor their machine learning models and data science workloads and have security and governance built in from the ground up. And that's what Dataiku does incredibly well. And that's why Dataiku has been named Databricks' two-time AI Partner of the Year. Because of our very tight integrations and the fact that we make organizations better by allowing for both the technical and the non-technical teams to work with their data. Thank you so much for your time. I hope this was useful. Have a great day.